Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whichever it is, wherever you're watching. My name's Sam. I'm known as author Sam J. White on Facebook, but on the titles of my books it says author Samuel J. White. Now, I sent out some interview questions a while back to get to know some other indie authors and promote their work and get to know them really, and had some good responses back, and this is the latest one. And today we'll be interviewing Ronald McDonald. Oh no, not him. Who chooses these interviews? He looks worse than Pennywise and his food's disgusting. Get rid of him. Instead, we will be interviewing indie author Ronald Townsen.
Hello, my name is Ron Townsen. I'm currently living in a little town called Red Rock, outside of Austin, Texas. I'm, let me see, my weight and my height. Just a little under 6 foot and more than it should be for my weight. I'm just short of 70 years old. I'll be 70 next month. And
nice to meet you, Ron. So, next question. Why did you decide to start writing?
So why did I start writing? Well, back in about 2005 or 2006, roughly, I was on one of my long trips for my full-time work, which is as a military system architect. And I was positioned in Virginia, and I was driving down to a Navy base called Dahlgren. It was in the fall, and leaves were changing, very fiery trees and so forth. And when I got back to my hotel that night, my daughter, who's a writer and artist, I sent her an email, and I just kind of wrote a little paragraph kind of describing the fire and the trees and so forth. And she came back and she said, "Dad, I know you've never had a hobby, and why don't you take up writing?" So that kind of got me thinking about it, and I decided, okay, it might be something I can do. I sit in hotel rooms a lot, so why not? And that was kind of the beginning of it.
So this in itself is an amazing story, because a lot of what I find with indie authors is that they don't get a great deal of support from their families, and yet we see Ron's daughter here actually encouraging him to become a writer. Now, she's a writer and artist herself, according to what Ron has just told me, so I would like actually to see if I could get her on here to do an interview to see her side of the story, if that's even possible. It's a great story there. So the next question was about the genre and which books Ron has written, but there seems to be a huge gap here, a missing video somewhere, so I've decided to fill you in on what I can with that. Now, I know that Ron is a science fiction writer, he's got several books out there, and I've looked them up and they've all got very good reviews, 4 and 5 stars. A lot of them, they've got many more reviews than my books have got. So it seems to me that Ron is most famous for his sci-fi series, The Watcher in the Fall, which has several books in it. They're flashing up on the screen now. And there's also 2 other books which I can see here on his list, which seem to be different from that: The Da Vinci Connections and Tales from Our Universe Edge. Let's see if there's another one. No, that's it. So the next question that Ron was asked was about his favourite authors.
Favorite authors? I'd probably say Arthur C. Clarke is probably one of my favorite authors. I especially liked his Rendezvous with Rama, and that made a fairly decent impression on me.
And move on to the next question. How have you found the world of indie authors?
So what's the life of an indie author to me? So as I started doing a lot of this, I didn't attempt. I've had a friend that I worked with over the years that had taken a novel over to to a publishing house, and he was able to sell it. But I never really attempted to do that, partly because I just spent my time mostly working, engineering, architecture work, computers, those types of things throughout my life. And that was my main focus. It's always been pretty much my main focus and my main income. So I publish them. I'm using Amazon. I've been looking a little bit at Barnes and Noble, but the over time I've realized I'm not going to become the next Tom Clancy, which is another one of my favorite authors. But so I kind of came to the conclusion I'm really writing for my grandkids and their kids, hopefully. I just want them to kind of remember who I am, a little bit about me, and my books kind of contain some of me in them. So it's been a publishing for for friends and so forth who do read it, and I do get feedback from some friends. But mostly my focus is really when I write, I think about my family. My kids don't tend to read them; they're not much into sci-fi. My daughter's helped a little bit. She's done the artwork for me, or one of my daughters, anyhow. Has done the artwork for me, but again, they're not really focused on sci-fi per se. But some of my friends, a lot of my engineering friends and so forth, have read it and seem to have enjoyed my writings and so forth. So mostly nowadays, I think more about legacy for my grandkids, to be able to pick them up, read them, and say, oh, gee, my grandpa did that. I can do it. I can do something. And maybe they'll enjoy it. That's what I'm hoping. And maybe it'll help them learn a little bit about me. So that's really why I write, too, I guess is the best way of putting it. I'm not writing to make a lot of money. I do make a few dollars here and there, but it's mostly because I want the grandkids to remember me and have something to remember me by.
That's a really nice story. So I know a lot of people are just in it for the money sometimes, not the passion of the writing. Most people are in it for the passion of the writing, but it's good that Ron involves his family as well. He's wants his family to be proud of him for what he's doing, and I know that his family will be proud of him for what he's doing, even if they don't necessarily read the books. I know a lot of people's families couldn't care less, but I can see that Ron's family is a really caring family, and I think that he underestimates himself because he's got several reviews on his books. He's got a lot more than I have. He's doing really well as far as I'm concerned.
So let's close this out. Look down at the links. Build into the links, or use the links to see more of these, see other authors that do interviews. My site is www.watcherinthefall.com, and that's where I have all my writings. I also have a blog through there that I keep up to date once in a while. Not as much as I should, but I do. Track some of my travels. I've traveled around the world. I've been around the United States quite a bit, so a lot of that's captured in the blog. So just hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you find a chance to read some of my books. And I want to thank you all, and goodbye.
So it's quite obvious here that if you've watched some of my other interviews that some of the files for Ron's answers possibly didn't get through to me because there are some answers missing. He was supposed to say that the next indie author book he was going to read was one of mine, Winter Night's Dream, or Maria's Photograph, or Derailed and Dispersed. It was a bit of a joke because he doesn't have to read that, and he was going to tell you that he's been recognised everywhere he goes because people recognise him on the streets. I don't know whether they do or not, but that was one of the questions he's not answered. But again, read Ron's blog. It's down there in the comments or in the titles. Links to his books or his author page will be down there too. You'll have seen his books floating around the screen, and I'm looking forward to reading Ron's blog, to be fair. He sounds like an interesting guy. I hope you've enjoyed this interview, very short one, and we'll be back later with more interviews very, very soon, some more coming up this week. I don't have the authors' names off the top of my head, but there'll be at least 2 more this week. Thank you for watching. My name's Samuel J. White. Please subscribe to the channel if you found it interesting. If you haven't, still do it.